Hi everybody and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video and gameplay. Today I have Slish and Slash. This is a Katarina Yasuo deck and we are featuring the newly buffed Steel Tempest. We're running a full set of Steel Tempest in this deck, mostly to see how it works and see if it is viable in a Yasuo deck. I know a lot of people were talking about putting it into more control decks with Karma, but we're trying it out with Yasuo and Katarina. Now, because it is more of a control card, it is and it's limited in its usage, you have to use it when the enemy is attacking. You can't use it any other time. And so this automatically slows down our deck a little bit. It slows down how we play the game. And so we're running quite a few more control cards in this deck, such as, like I said, a full set of Steel Tempest. We are running a full set of Concussive Palm. We're running a full set of Intimidating Roar and 2 Will of Ionias, as well as Retreats, which is a slow kind of defensive spell itself, which allows us to maintain a healthy board state, allows us to save our units if they're targeted by enemy spells, and then get them back out with Return. Now, it works as really well with Yasuo as well, all these recall spells. Retreat, and we're also running 2 of the Navori Conspirator, recalls your allies. This helps level up Yasuo and power up the Fey Blade Twirler, who gets +2 every time you stun or recall a unit. And we kind of can finish up the game once we've leveled up Yasuo, which should be faster because of all of these recall options. And if a Blade Twirler gets huge as well, she's really hard to stop. Because we're running Recall and Return as well as Navori Conspirator, it is really beneficial to have a lot of cards with play abilities and summon abilities like the Arachnoid Sentry. You commonly find him in this deck anyway, but it is possible to get multiple uses out of the Arachnoid Sentry each round, leveling up Yasuo faster. We're also running 2 Scales of the Dragon, a card that doesn't get a lot of use, but I like to include in this deck because it does offer some buffing for our weaker units like the Fey Blade Twirler, who doesn't block a lot into units when they're defending. This kind of allows it a little bigger body, and it will let you trade into units when you are defending as well. And we're running 2 Shadow Assassins for some card draw. She was recently nerfed from 2 to 1 damage, and you can definitely feel it when she's on the board. Definitely not as good as a card as she was, but we do need some card draw. We aren't running any of the other spells from Ionia that kind of generate cards for us. So we did need some sort of card draw, and she works well with the recall and retreat units as well, where you can put her in, pull her back out, put her in, and get multiple card draws from her. The only other card draw really we have in this deck is Key Guardian, which will grant barrier to a unit. This is really nice to put on something like Scales of the Dragon or a target for Scales of the Dragon's spell, Dragon's Protection. Just a way to get that on without them being removed by a spell. Now, for late game, what we've got 2 Minotaur Reckoners, we got 1 Yone Windchaser, and 1 Mina Swiftfoot, just including her as kind of a different Yone, just seeing how she works together in this deck, and if the recalling of units is worth having her in the deck. Kind of acting as a secondary Will of Ionia, too, for late game. Since Will of Ionia is nerfed, I've figured, well, let's try to put a different way to recall units in our deck. So that's kind of the reasoning why she's in this. Overall, it's a pretty fun deck. You do have to kind of pace yourself. You don't want to run out of steam too fast because there isn't a lot of card draw. You are a little susceptible to early game aggro, especially if you can't place cards like the Navori Conspirator early if you don't have another unit down. So things like that, but the Steel Tempest and the Concussive Palm go a long ways into helping you kind of stall out to be able to maintain a healthy board state and that sort of thing. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I release a new deck every day and some gameplay every day, trying out new things, and recently, I guess, and in the near future, I'll be trying out kind of the changed cards. So yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. So somebody's still playing Brahmanivia even after they get nerfed. Let's see how this new Brahmanivia deck works. Probably shouldn't be too different. I don't really like this opening hand, so we're going to get rid of all of it. I would like a little earlier of a curve here, and at least we get the Shadow Assassin we can play on turn 3 now in case we don't draw anything else. I don't generally like having Katarina early. She is kind of, even though she's 3 mana, she's really not an early game champion. She's better at about turn 8 when you can play her multiple times around. We're just going to let this Omen Hawk come through with damage. Not much we can do about it. Can't play any units. And he's got an Avaros and Sentry now that he's put down. And I still can't do anything, so we're still going to pass. We do draw Still Tempest, which is one of the main reasons what we were running this deck, trying to see if it works as well. And he attacks with Bolt again. I'm not going to attack with Still Tempest. I don't... there's no need in attacking with Still Tempest. I'll use it for something that is a little bit stronger later on. Alright, and then we're just going to end that round after playing our Fae Blade Twirler here. Might should have played the Shadow Assassin just so that we didn't waste any mana, but I would like to level up, or kind of power up this Fae Blade Twirler as soon as I can. Okay, the Arachnid Sentry, we're going to stun the Hapless Aristocrat. Could have also stunned the Avaros and Sentry so it prevents some card draw. But end up stunning the Hapless Aristocrat just to avoid the extra spider. I would like to kind of clear up his board since he's getting a lot of units on it. Alright, we're going to attack with the Fae Blade Twirler here. He ends up having a Fury of the North. He's threatening my Fae Blade Twirler. We're just going to use Retreat on her now. We end up using one. We will end up using one less mana than he does. He kind of doesn't get a very good attack with that. I'd rather have him use it on this Omen Hawk than on a Braum later and take out my units. So this is nice, and we're just going to put the Fae Blade Twirler back in again and start powering her up again. We've got this Steel Tempest, which is going to be really nice. He ends up having a Braum. Not much we can do for development here. Just going to play the Shadow Assassin and draw a card. Arachnoid Sentry looks really nice. He, of course, is going to attack with his Braum. And we are going to use Still Tempest on the Braum. The main reason we're using Still Tempest on the Braum instead of on another unit that actually deals damage is that we don't want him to produce a Mighty Poro and fill up his board even more. Already he's threatening us with a lot of units, and it would be better just to kind of keep his board state where it is, taking out some of his units here. We're going to put the Fae Blade Twirler on this 2/2 Omen Hawk because we will be able to kill it once Fae Blade Twirler has more attack damage. He ends up having a Vile Feast, which kind of sucks, but at least we forced that out of him kind of early, and now he's only got 2 cards left in hand. 4 on the board, 2 in hand, so we have him in a pretty good spot right now. It's actually not looking as bad as it seems. Okay, we're going to put the Navori Conspirator in here on the Shadow Assassin just so that we can get some extra card draw. It also will heal her. We're going to just put her back down, draw a card, another Still Tempest, which is really nice. And we're going to attack with our 2 elusive units here. Just some extra damage. The Shadow Assassin does feel a little bit worse now that she only has 1 attack damage. Quite a bit nicer with 2. If she had had to, I would have been able to save my Fae Blade Twirler last round. But alright, and now we have 2 Intimidating Roar. So I kind of wish that he would have developed a little bit more this round so I could have played Intimidating Roar. We're going to use Still Tempest again on Braum instead. Just again to prevent the Poro from coming out. Prevent him from leveling up his Braum and just kind of maintain as controlled of our opponent's hand as we can. So Still Tempest this, and now he's got Glimpse Beyond for Hapless Aristocrat. We're just going to deny that. We're using a little bit more mana, but he's only got 2 cards in hand. I don't really see a point in letting him draw more cards. He could have Ruination, most likely not, and his board is kind of developed for him to be wanting to Ruinate right now. And he doesn't have a lot of cards in hand, so I think I can spare the deny for this Glimpse of Beyond and try to win relatively soon here. We've got Intimidating Roars, which are going to go a long ways in helping us win this game, and it It would have been really nice to have drawn Yasuo by now, but not much we can do about that either. Alright, because he has a fully developed board, he's got 6 units down, we can use this Blade's Edge on Braum. We're going to stun the Braum. Probably should have just Blade's Edged it, but I considered attacking first depending on what his last card was. And I'd rather not have Braum block into me. Okay, and now we're going to Blade's Edge it, and then we're going to use Ravenous Flock on it. So the Blade's Edge now, because he doesn't get any use out of his Mighty Poro, which is really nice for us. And now we are going to Ravenous Flock and get rid of this Braum completely. So really we ended up taking out 2 units that round. Even though it didn't seem like it, we prevented him from getting a Mighty Poro. Now we're going to attack with Katarina and the Shadow Assassin. We're going to leave the Arachnoid Sentries behind in order to block next round. We're going to have Katarina go back to our hand, which only is going to leave 3 blockers on our side of the board. And this next round is going to be really important, because we need to stop him from doing more damage to our Nexus, so that we can win within the next 2 rounds. Or 3 rounds, really. Just depending on how it goes. Alright, so he doesn't have any other cards it looks like he can play. And if he develops, it will be good for us because we've got Intimidating Roar. If he does develop, he's going to summon a Braum, and we're going to be able to stun all of his units with this Intimidating Roar. This is going to make his attack completely useless. And more than likely, he doesn't have enough mana to play a card, even if he does have a unit. We're going to play our Katarina here and should get a attack on this Nexus. Open attack here. He can't block with any of his units. We're going to deal a ton of damage. Katarina recalls, and now it's going to be our turn to attack. Next round, we have another Intimidating Roar. So we're going to play the Katarina Intimidating Roar first. I should have played the Fey Blade Twirler, but we only have enough mana to play Katarina twice in case he's got something to stop our units. So we really want to be able to play Katarina twice and attack twice here. Otherwise, we're just going to lose the next round. So that's why we didn't play the Fey Blade Twirler. See, he ends up having an Anivia.
This is our time.
We're going to play our Katarina here. He doesn't know we have a backup Katarina as well. See, and he ends up having a Vengeance. So if we had played the Fey Blade Twirler, he would have just killed her, and then we wouldn't have had enough mana to finish the round. So we're going to attack first with our units here.
I protect this place.
And now we're going to play our Katarina.
No going back.
And we're going to be able to finish off this game now. Alright, so I ended up beating this control deck, not too bad. Definitely is some room for improvement on both of our parts, but seemed to be okay, and we ended up getting the victory.